You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacqueline connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacqueline.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. We're so happy to have you here. This is a brand new time slot for Rapping with Dr. Jacqueline presents A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I am your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer. This show is not for interviews. It's only for presentations from people who are the best in the world. They present lessons on how to make us better personally and professionally. And today, not only is this a new time slot for our show, but we have an expert who's going to give us 2 lessons. This is phenomenal. Let's welcome him to the show. It's Ben Chai, Doctor Who of Business. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Dr. J. Hi, everyone. Today I'll be sharing about how to be a global speaker and the things that you need to do. In the first session, we'll be talking about your preparation, and then the second session, we'll be talking about being on stage.
That's fantastic. And Doctor Who, we're going to get started in just a moment, but I'd love to just spotlight you and have you share with us all the things, not all the things, because you're doing so many things, but some of the things that you're doing that have really been transformative. You've helped so many people, so please don't be shy. Do tell.
Yes, so over my years on this planet, I've been very fortunate and privileged to share to probably over 1 million people worldwide in 70 different countries, speaking from stage, speaking on television and other kinds of media, just to share insights on how you can either improve in your own personal life or in your business life. As a result of all those talks around the world, it's really pushed myself up in various industries, such as technology, such as education and training, and many, many others. So that's a little bit about me. And the reason they call me the Doctor Who of Business is because I have this crazy mind that when there are very challenging problems, that I have that ability to think out of the box or in the box or get rid of the box totally, depending on the scenario. So that's why they call me the Doctor Who of Business. Doctor Who is a character on English sci-fi TV who has to deal with impossible tasks and brings these impossible solutions to save the world. So that's a tiny bit about myself.
Thank you, Doctor Who. And of course, you have a lot of other accomplishments. You are an author of many different genres of writing, and so I've got a great book out on Amazon as well as others, but Social Magnetism. You are an actor, you're a dancer, you're a TEDx speaker, you are a performer on all stages, and we're just looking forward to the next thing that you're going to be doing. You're also all over Clubhouse helping people. That's how I met you. So I'm just very excited to have you here, and the fact that you're going to do 2 presentations is super califragilisticexpialidocious.
Yes, even though the sound of it makes sound something like precocious.
Exactly. All right, my friend, are you ready to go?
Absolutely.
All right, public speaking. I am going to disappear. I'm going to give you the timer. Let me find that first. And here you go.
Brilliant. So today in this particular lesson, I'll be sharing a little bit about the preparation that's involved for you to be one of the top public speakers in your arena. And the first aspect of preparation comes with actually thinking about your talk. Now, in this presentation, I have a maximum of 15 minutes, and you should always be thinking about that time frame you have. A lot of people, they think, okay, I will try and use up the full 15 minutes, but actually that doesn't quite work, because the first thing you have is the beginning, aspect where you introduce yourself. And that normally takes 2 or 3 minutes. And then you have the end bit, which will probably take a minute. So therefore, you only have, if you like, 12 minutes in the middle. Now, I've been very privileged to give talks around the world. Maybe they're 15 minutes, maybe they're for the whole day. So I've always thought in my head a framework. I always have a framework, and I'm always thinking about that important component called timing. So when you're on stage, or you're likely to be on various stages around the world, you need to think about that timing. It is really, really disrespectful to other speakers if you're sharing a platform for you to run over, because that means that either they have to reduce their talk, and if they reduce their talk, it means that the audience won't get as much, or it might mean that the whole event gets longer and longer and longer, and as a result, some of the audience may get bored. So just really think about your timing. That's the framework you want to think about. You've got a beginning, a middle, and an end. In a 15-minute talk, normally, not always, but normally we think about one point per 5 minutes. So that gives you a rough idea. Now, the next thing you need to do is to write that talk and practice it. Practice, practice, practice. And what you want to do is practice perhaps in front of a mirror, perhaps in the lounge with some friends, and get some feedback. So if you don't have people who can give you feedback, record yourself giving that talk. Because then you can think, oh, actually, I have too many points. And most people have too many points. That's why they go on and on and on. But here's the thing. Our heads can only take so much information. And I remember once being asked by a colleague. They said, look, Ben, I hope you don't mind, but I'm actually cleverer than you, Ben, in this technology, which we were talking about on stage. So I don't understand, how come you have better ratings than me? And the simple fact was, I used to really give the audience what they needed and nothing else. And he used to give more and more and more, thinking he was adding value, but actually he was just overloading people. So just think about when you're presenting, just to give the almost the minimum, and then let people come back and have a question and answer session afterwards. Now, you want to practice so much that it's impossible for you to get it wrong on the night or the day. And the reason you want to practice so that it's impossible for you to get it wrong, because you're going to be dealing with other things apart from your talk. So you want this talk to be like a whole part of your body. That's it. Once it's part of your body, you can go anywhere. You can get on a train, give the talk. You can get in a classroom. You could walk down the street. You could give the talk in a car, and you won't be fazed by anything that happens around you. So practice is so important, and getting that feedback to improve your talk is so important, this feedback. So when you get feedback, then you know that you're not waffling or you're trying to cram too much stuff in your talk. Now, the next aspect that you really need to work on is self-belief. Because when you get on stages, it could be one person, it could be 1,000, it could be 3, 4 people, but you want to have self-belief that they have come to see you. Absolutely, they've come to see you. And look, even if you only help one person who've come to see you, maybe there are 200 or 300, or the largest audience I ever had was 14,000. But if just one person gets something out of it and has improved their life, then you've done your job. So you really want to have that self-belief that you've been contacted because you are the expert for those people at the level they're at. Now, it might be that you only have, for example, a beginner knowledge, and you're thinking, but all these other people know much more than me. But hey, the audience may only be beginners, and they don't want someone who has advanced knowledge to teach them, because that advanced person may forget things about how they were a beginner. So just have that self-belief. Now, the worst thing you can ever do is bore somebody when you're giving a talk. So what I want to share about now is hand gestures, voice speed, and voice intonation. So hand gestures, yay, here's me. Hand gestures, really important when you're speaking on stage, to use those hand gestures to kind of illustrate something that you're talking about in some way. So if something is very small, then you might have that hand gesture. If it's big, you may show some hand gestures to just illustrate what you're talking about. They gave some statistics on the TED Talks that got the most views, or just talks in general. And they found that the most popular speakers did a lot of hand gesturing, not for the sake of hand gesturing, but just because they were trying to illustrate and also show a bit of passion. Get in there because you're the subject knowledge and you love this subject that you are sharing about. The next thing is voice speed and voice intonation. So when you have a really major point, you may want to just slow down your voice to emphasize a really important aspect of your talk. And pause just a tiny bit so that people can think, I need to listen to that. Or when they're writing down their notes, they feel that this particular point is very, very important. Also, voice intonation. You really don't want to be speaking with a monotone voice. And this is why it's so important that when you're practicing and you're recording yourself, that you listen to yourself and just listen to the intonation of your voice. Are you speaking monotone all the time? Because this will eventually put people to sleep. As you've seen, maybe you've seen some YouTube videos and you've seen some of the speakers talking in a very monotone voice. And it's fine for a minute or two, but when it's like 15 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, then this is like terrible. Really, really terrible because people will fall asleep. Even if you are the most knowledgeable person on this planet, you are not doing the job that you've been asked to do, which is to have people listen and take on board some great, great information that you have. Now, we've spoken about hand gestures. So when you're recording yourself, show some hand gestures. We've talked about your voice speed, and we've shared about voice intonation. These are three very important components. Now, you may also like to have movement. That's walking around the stage. One of my favorite tricks is just to walk right into the audience so that I'm in the middle of the audience, and moving rather than just staying in one place is also very helpful because it's like a movie. It's like a movie when you're thinking about your talk, so that people kind of like move with you. They're all over the place, watching you move, and that also gives them a tiny bit of energy. All right, the final component before we wrap up that I'd like to share is audience engagement. Audience engagement is so important. It makes people feel part of your talk. So if you watch some of my TED Talks, and there are actually links to those TED Talks in this in the description of this video here, you will see links to my TED Talk Social Magnetism and a link to a TED Talk called Cowardice and Courage. In those talks, you will see me engage with the audience quite a bit. And the first thing that I'm doing when I get on the stage is I need for the audience to feel that they're part of this talk. So ways that you can get audience participation in is to ask a question like, for example, how many people here are public speakers? Put your hand up, please. Now, here's the thing that a lot of speakers do wrong when they ask a question is they just say, oh, that's it. But now you want to give feedback and you can say, oh, wow, so like there's 30% of people do public speaking. And then you can ask another question. You can say, how many people here are actually afraid of public speaking? And you have a set of hands up, and you can then reflect that back to the audience. So if it's 60% or 70% are afraid of public speaking, and then you link your question to your talk. So in this case, I might say, yes, I too had that fear of public speaking, but this is what I learned. And I was on a course and I learned this, this, and this. And sure, the first time I got on stage, I was really, really scared. But over time, I just got more and more confident. And today, maybe my hands sweat a little bit, but I love being on the stage and the people love me being on stage because I'm actually helping people a lot and they feel helped by myself. Well, that's all I have to share about your preparation. So just a quick recap. We talked about framework. So you want a framework for your talk. Remember that you've got some minutes for the beginning and minutes for the end. And the end, you may even want to say thank you to the audience and thank you to the organizers. We spoke about practicing and feedback. And if you don't have people you can share with, we said record yourself and listen for feedback for yourself. It's difficult to be self-critical quite often, but you don't want to go over your time limit. So any time that you've crammed information in, try to get to the most salient, the most important points that will impact your audience. We also shared self-belief. Self-belief is very, very important, that you have been called, whether you're a beginner or not, to be that person who is the person to speak and share with these people. Have that self-belief that if you only help one person, your talk will have been worth it. We finally shared about hand gestures. Yes, move those hands. And we talked about your voice speed and voice intonation, or very, very deep. And we said that really you want to get to the point and illustrate your points. So that's it for me. Finally, I hope you've all enjoyed this talk. Please do write some comments on this video, or if you're listening to it on a podcast, then please again write some comments and give some feedback on what you thought about this. Thank you so much.
I think that was fantastic, especially since we're just coming out of the pandemic and maybe people who are public speakers haven't been speaking. And you gave a lot of really good tips that I was thinking, oh, you know what? I forgot about that. And I forgot about this. One thing I thought was really special is that people don't take into consideration that when they're late and they talk over, they're pushing everyone else back, and then the event may run longer. So I think that's a great point. We've all been in events where this has happened, and now we're staying an extra hour instead of when we were supposed to be. So thank you so much. Fantastic. We are going to take a quick break. How do you feel, Doctor?
I always feel good. Well, yes, I feel great. I feel good. Dun, 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 dun.
I'm glad to hear it. All right, let's pause and hear from one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back for your second part of your presentation.
Brilliant.
The world of healthcare is benefiting us in many ways, but the risk of becoming a victim to an airborne infection is increasing at a fast pace too. There are threats from viruses, allergic pollen, and chemicals which cause you loss of health, income, business, mental health, family and friends. All are at stake. One solution to this threat are the BV Air Sanitation Placide-based systems. When you call our team on 0208 104 3253, you find out about the amazing protection available. Protection that uses certified Battlefield, tested, standard and customized air disinfection systems for your personal and business use. Each system uses a filterless technology known as Placide, which attacks all airborne particles with microlighting to destroy and eliminate viruses and other harmful particles in your office, transport and home. You also benefit from extra bonuses such as low running and maintenance costs, no regular filter and part changes. You get to work with our trained experts and professional staff and be made aware of the latest in airborne protection and disinfection strategy. Keep yourself healthy by working with our trained experts and Placide virus killing systems, which keep you safe from airborne viruses. BV Air Sanitation Limited. We save lives, save businesses, and prevent infection. Schedule your free consultancy call and virus protection checklist. Call 0208 104 3253 or connect to us on www.bvbuster.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back. It's nice to have you with us on our special brand new show, A Better You, Lessons from the Best Coaches, Consultants, and Trusted Advisors. This is a new time slot for us, and our presenter today is Dr. Who of Business, Ben Chai. He just did his first presentation on public speaking tips, and we learned we should move around and use hand gestures, change the tone of our voice, inflection, engage the audience, plan out what we're going to say. If we have a certain time frame we've been given, that doesn't mean we have to use the whole thing. Plan for 2 minutes of it to be your intro, 1 minute to be your outro, and remember to keep people interested. And you can do that by any number of ways that Ben suggested. So please head over to YouTube after the show to watch our presentations again. Dr. Who, back to you for the second part. What will you be speaking on now?
So now I'll be sharing in the second part, actually coming to the stage. So that's before you get on the stage, and then when you're actually on stage, some of the aspects that are very, very important.
All right, I can't wait. I'll be taking notes. Here's your timer, and go ahead and begin, please.
Thank you. So in the first part of my talk, I shared about preparation for public speaking, to be one of the best public speakers around. In this second part, I'll be sharing about, I'm assuming that now you know your talk, you know it so much inside out that you can get on stages anywhere and just give that talk and do it within the time frame. Excuse me. The time frame that you're in. So I'll be sharing about pre-stage and being on the stage itself. Right. First of all, at any event, you want to arrive early. I know some people think they can wing it, but you really, really want to be there early. Even if you're a third or fourth speaker, at least arrive early before anybody else has come along, so that you can scope out the site. You can see where, if there's a lectern, where you can speak from. You can see the stage where you can move. You want to find that stage. You want to see how you can move into the audience if that's what you want to do. Or you can just understand a lot of the aspects where the toilets are, where people are coming in, where people are exiting. So you really want to arrive early and scope the site. You also want to arrive early in order to work with all the tech. So if you have PowerPoint slides, then you want to be able to work that tech. You want to see how to use the machinery, how to use the clickers and so on, because there are little nuances between people's systems. And also you want to see what would happen if something went wrong, so that you are now prepared if tech goes wrong. And I promise you, tech always goes wrong. Who knows why? But it does go wrong, and you want to know how to work with it. Finally, you want to be able to greet people. So get to know the backstage supporters, people who are in charge of the tech. You want to really get to know the organizers and anybody who turns up to hear you speak on stage. For me, I normally arrive early for my talk. If I'm the third or fourth speaker, I will stand at the door and I will greet people. I will say, hey, my name's Ben. I'm going to be your speaker for this next session. What's your name? And tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Or what's your passion subject? Now, I will greet as many people as I can before I get on the stage. Maybe I'll greet them even before my talk. Maybe if I'm the second talk, I'll go and greet people when they first come into the auditorium or the stage where I'm speaking, just so I get an idea of these people and who's come to see. And we'll also ask questions like, oh, what is it you're looking to get most out of here tonight? And that also gives me some information that if I have to make some last minute adjustments to the talk I'm giving, then that way I can really serve my audience. So that those 4 components: arrive early, scope the site out, just try all the tech, and greet people. Very, very important. Right. The next thing is what happens now when you're on stage. Woo! So that's the bit where you're feeling, perhaps some of you are feeling nervous. Perhaps you love being on stage because you're the spotlight and you just know you're going to deliver amazing aspects. I remember the scariest time for me. I had 2 challenges. One was when all the speakers were amazing and I thought, I really need to up my game. I'm going to have to use this stage. And the other time was when I was starting out in my public speaking environment, and I didn't set what we call boundaries and rules. And as a result, one of the people in the audience caused me tremendous problems. So these are some issues that I'm now going to share with you how to deal with. Right. First of all, now you're on stage, you're getting on stage and you share a little bit about yourself. You do that kind of couple of minutes. Okay, this is Ben Chai. I've spoken around the world on this particular subject. And here is what I'll be sharing with you. Before I start, I would like to share a few rules. First of all, I love having questions, so if you would like to ask a question, please put your hand up, and I will get one of the support guys to give you a microphone. Or I might say, please, no questions for the duration of the talk. I will handle your questions at the end of the talk. If I'm the first speaker and there's no MC, I may also share about where the restrooms are and fire challenges. So if there's a fire, here's the exits, everyone follow after me. Some kind of, little joke there. So you really want to set the rules when you're on stage, just so that nobody accidentally or deliberately sabotages you. I've already mentioned in the pre-stage about audience engagement. And this is what you want to do right at the beginning and just say, hi, everyone. So I'm your speaker for the day. Here is what I'd like to do. How many people feel this about this subject? So that's the audience engagement. And because you've greeted people, you might be able to point out people in the audience and just say, I met John at the door, and this is what John said to me, which really made me think. So you want to be complimentary, don't be derogatory to people, which really made me think about what I'm next about to share. So John over there, just thank you so much. Now, by doing that tiny bit, the shaking the hands at the door, and by spotting people in the room, you don't have to remember everybody, but by doing that, you now are being part of the audience and people feel part of your talk. So they're more engaged with you, especially if you say something like, hey, where is Dr. Jacqueline? She's in the audience somewhere. Can you just stand up for a second? Dr. Jacqueline, can you just repeat to me what you said at the door when I greeted you? So that's another great way, now that you've met these people, to engage with the audience. The next thing is to be in the moment. So earlier when I was sharing this, I had a cough and I said, well, I just coughed. So I'm in the moment. I don't keep apologizing for things. I've seen people when tech has gone wrong, so they can't get their PowerPoint slides up and they're saying, oh, guys, I'm so sorry, tech's gone wrong. And they spend the next 3 or 4 minutes saying, hey, backstage people, can we get the tech right? Guys, can you just drink water? I'm just sorting this out. And that detracts from the whole energy of your talk. Remember I said right at the beginning, know your talk, know it inside out. So when tech problems do happen and you're clicking on the clicker to move the slides and they don't move at all, then you just say, guys, the slide's not moving, but this is what I want to share with you about the talk. while the tech support people are fixing this. So that's why I love you knowing your speech inside out. And sometimes, this is really interesting, when the tech hasn't worked, people are now more focused on you and what you're saying rather than on those slides that you're pointing out. And you don't get people saying, oh, you moved that slide too quickly. I didn't write down everything. So this is a very, very important aspect, that sometimes when tech goes wrong, it actually works in your favor. So don't think of this as a problem, just be in the moment. I once had tech that wasn't delivered to an event that I was speaking at, but I knew the stuff. So I said, guys, we were working from workbooks. Can you just change to page 1 and 2 and 3? Okay, on this page, we're doing this and this and this. And just took them through my talk, which was based on tech. All right, so we've talked about boundaries and rules. We've talked about audience engagement. We've said about being in the moment, and we've shared about tech problems. This next point is very, very important. And I've heard many speakers say, the more people that are in the room, the more energy I have to give to you. So please invite tons of people. This is very disrespectful from my perspective. Whether you have one person in the audience, or 2, or 3, or 10, or 100, or 500, or 2,000, they have given up their time to come and listen to you. Treat everyone in your audience like an A-lister. I've worked with stages where people sell from stage. I don't particularly sell from stage because it's not really my thing. And because they believe that the more people they have in the audience, the more they'll make with their sales techniques on stage. Ooh, that's like a blah, 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 their sales techniques. So that's why they don't like seeing all these people. But I've seen, when there have only been 3 or 4, that some of those 4 have actually been incredibly wealthy and have given those sales stages, people who sell from stage, more benefit than if there had been 1,000. So don't treat the number of people as a measure of how good you are. Treat everyone in the audience as an A-lister, like they're celebrities and they've come to see you share your knowledge. Once you've finished, obviously thank the audience and the organizers, and always remember that there are several audiences. Yes, there are. So apart from the people in front of you, that's one audience. The second audience is the organizers, and the third audience are the people who may watch the replay. Whoa, replay, yes, absolutely. So in the TED Talks I've given, I've had those 3 audiences. I've had the people in front of me, I've had the organizers, and then when the YouTube videos and the TED videos go on the TED platform, that's the next audience. So always remember that you've got multiple audiences that you are trying to really give value to. Right. That's it. So let me just summarize and then we'll finish this talk. So we shared about pre-stage, arrive early, scope out the site, work all the tech, greet people. Very, very important. We've shared about being on stage, and the first thing you want to do, apart from introducing yourself, is to set the boundaries and rules and immediately create your audience engagement dependent on how you've greeted people. We've also said be in the moment. Things will go wrong. You might have a cough, you might spill a bottle of water, tech may go wrong. Just be in the moment and know your talk inside out so it doesn't bother you. You can just carry on. Remember 3 or 4 people's names even and call them out in the audience, just to share with them, and always be complimentary with what they've said. Maybe be a bit of self-effacing, like saying, that what they said really made me think. When Dr. Jacqueline said before I got on stage, blah, 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 that really made me think. And finally, remember that everyone in your audience is an A-lister. They have spent time and money to come to see you. So it doesn't matter whether you've got one person on the stage or 10,000. They have come to see you. So give 100 or 2,000% of yourself to those people. This is Ben Chai, the Doctor Who of Business, finishing this series on being on stage and being an amazing stage speaker. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do share it with your friends and family, and please do write comments on the video and the talks. Thank you so much.
Ben, I love how you always show up and give it your all. I love your enthusiasm and your passion. I love how you tell us what you're going to tell us. You tell us and then you tell us what you told us. Brilliant. I picked up so many great points. I have never done that, where stand at the back of the room and greet people and get to know their names and then involve them in the presentation. I think that's brilliant. I love the part about be in the moment, because things do happen. You can cough, maybe you sneeze. You don't continuously talk about it, just it happens, right? And then the other thing I thought was really resonating with me was about the technology, because technology does go wrong. Something will happen and you need to be prepared. And just a quick story, I was doing my doctoral residency and there were 15 of us, and we had business cases A, B, and C. We each picked and broke into teams of 5. We had overnight to prepare our response. Our team was the first one to go. I was the first one to present because I was the salesperson and doing the intro. And the facilitator came over and he told me to sit down. And he told the second person and the third person and the fourth person and the fifth person was supposed to do the whole presentation and was going through the laptop. He closed the laptop and took it away. And the guy was standing there. He didn't know any of the presentation except his own, and he was going to fail all of us. And it was a really good learning experience that you need to know the whole thing and assume something will happen.
Yeah. Wow. That's an amazing story, Dr. J. So what happened in the end?
Well, people were freaking out and the dean was called in. And as it turns out, it was all, I don't want to say it was staged, but it was to teach us a lesson. And of course, we all, after the shock factor, were all like, wow, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that's so important. Thank you for sharing that story. I will be mean to some people one day and do the same thing.
It's a very good lesson because it sticks with you. So thank you for inspiring me to even think of that.
Right. And yes, we've got another show next in a few hours' time?
Yes, at noon. At Eastern Time, 5 p.m. British Summer Time, the Underdog Show. And we've got a great guest today, Deborah Roth. And I believe we're going to be talking about Lyme disease.
Correct. Yes. She used to be really into sports and everything. And she'll be sharing how when she contracted this, that she just was tired all the time. And today she's an amazing coach and so on, but she'll be sharing, how she was able to get her energy back. And she's still in pain and has fatigue moments these days, but she'll be sharing some aspects of how you deal with that.
And I just want to share with our audience that Ben is amazing to work with because he does his own research on the guests. He doesn't rely on me sending him anything. He actually takes a lot of time to prepare, and that just goes to show his professionalism. And then his shows are the ones that get the most views. He also takes a lot of time after the show is over to go to YouTube and to really create a description and information that's relevant to the show. And so I want to thank you, Ben, because you really go above and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jane.
Thank you. All right, we're going to wrap up. We've got another show coming up in 20 minutes. Celebrate Great Britain, Royally Rich Show. So we'll see you back in 20 minutes. Thanks again. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Dr. J.